Hello and welcome to the Animal Drawing Masterclass at CGMA. I'm Shannon Beaumont and I've been working in this industry for 6 years, just about 6 years now. During that time I've worked on some concept art for video games, film, I've done character design, but one of the jobs I landed that's pretty special is I've worked for the Munich Zoo since 2012. They asked me to do the information displays for the animals and also stuff like warning signs like don't pick up the goats, don't pick up the rabbits. I've gotten really good at drawing depressed animals, because they've been wanting them kind of sad in the signs. But this is an example of something I've done for the Munich Zoo. This is a zebra mongoose. And this was not drawn from a photo. This is drawn from my head, and I did quick gesturals from YouTube videos, found a nice pose, and then rendered it with good photo references. During this class, and what I want you guys to take away from this class is don't just copy an image. A lot of the time with animal drawing you're going to see images that are super photorealistic. That's fine, it's an approach, but this is not called animal rendering, it's called animal drawing. And what you will learn is how to draw from the inside out and also capturing the essence of movement, and hopefully you will take away a little bit about the animal nature. This particular piece right here I actually did during a Q&A at my first semester here at CGMA, and a student asked me to draw a velociraptor and I took it back and finished it later that evening. It was a lot of fun. Brought back a lot of childhood memories. I'm a big dinosaur nerd. I always have been, and I think I always will be. A couple more pieces just to show you. Let it load up. This is a red-breasted goose I've done in ballpoint pen. And again, this is on location from the zoo, and as you can see, these geese actually have their primaries clipped. That's kind of normal within zoos or areas that don't want the birds flying away. Really enjoyed this one. He stood there preening himself for probably around an hour and a half, had a good time rendering, just playing around with the rocks and stuff. But this comes later. This is something that you shouldn't jump in and be like, oh, I gotta make my image look, super clean. No. The important thing is getting stuff like this down. These are gesturals of the rabbits, old world rabbits at the Munich Zoo. And I did these in preparation for an illustration they needed. But these are quick gesturals just of the rabbits. I actually have another file laying around that has some of them lying down. So you're gonna hopefully learn how to capture the essence and get a pose down quickly. And you don't have to talk about all the details. It's not important. That there is a time and a place for that, but in the beginning you'll hopefully learn capture the gestural, draw from the inside out, construct, and then place the rendering, make it pretty kind of thing. This is a catfish, as you can see, and I painted it in watercolor. And this took around like 2.5 to 3 hours. I sat there for a late morning, early afternoon painting this guy. Really enjoyed it. Loved the lighting and the colors, especially the color palette. It's really nice. It's very analogous in its choices, and I put a bit of red in there to accentuate the green. Kangaroos, again, Munich Zoo from life. These are drawn, of course, with them moving around. They were eating. As you can see, this guy was reaching down, eating something, and just capturing that motion. Oops, my bad. Capturing the motion and the overall essence of the pose and the animals. And you can capture that in a way in the face, how the ears are laid back, kind of the laziness in the eyes. They have very relaxed group of animals. They don't have much to worry about. The last one I want to show you is just a Congo peafowl I did for one of Joe Weatherly's animal drawing workshop. I attended his London workshop, and that was a ton of fun. I got to meet a lot of really neat artists, a lot of animators, and spend time just drawing animals, kind of nerding out on animals, and of course picking Joe's brain about color, because that's one thing I of course have my own goals and I want to improve on my colors, especially painting traditionally, and he was perfect for kind of asking, especially for this workshop. This is done in ballpoint pen and of course watercolor, and also some felt tip pen here quickly in the feet. Just going to capture the essence, really get those feet planted, and then place the acrylic brush as like kind of an acrylic pen on top of that. So that's some of my work I've done. What I'd like to talk about before we jump into our gestural drawings are some basics with the animal's skeleton, and this will help guide us with proportions, a basic understanding of bony areas, and also will help guide us with action lines, understanding where the spine lies and where the bones of the leg lie. I chose the horse, the cow, the dog, and the cat, reasons being that they are around us and they're very good animals to get familiar with when it comes to getting into this industry. You're going to probably be drawing them for concept art in video games or even in like film and animation. They're very good animals to familiarize yourself with. Birds are another one, but we'll get into that a little later. The first thing I want to just discuss very quickly is something with the basic box that goes around the cow, and the horse. The reason why is because this is just basic proportions, and you can see that with the horse you have a nice box around it, and then you can kind of measure how many heads high. This guy is around this guy's 3 heads, but sometimes horses can be around 2.5. And how many heads long? This guy's again 3, as you can see, and the basic kind of measurement for a horse is 2.5 to 3, sort of an idealized, depending also on the breed of the horse. The next one, and this is a little important, actually quite important, is just to remember these angles. And you can look here with the cow, here with the horse, look at the different angles. Say for instance the head how the heads lie, and the same with the dog. The dog looks straight out ahead, its eyes are on the front of its head. The same thing with the lion, kind of holding its head down a little bit, much longer. The scapula is a good one to remember, and of course this area here with the pelvis. And you can see how on the cow that moves back into this angle here. So kind of get familiar with those angles, kind of look for them, especially when you're looking at photos and even when you're going on location to draw these animals. Okay? The next thing is just something to keep in mind is that the wrist is lower than the ankle, and that goes for these animals as well. Alright? So the wireframe, the basic wireframe of the animal. Here, it kind of reminds me of a bridge, and the bridge is being held up by the support, which are the legs. You can see how here this part of the neck kind of bends down, and again the angle of the head differs from each animal. Can pull this up too, and just look at the springiness of these guys, the predatory animals, the canine and the feline. Much different, much more springy looking than the solid looking horse and cow. So this is something to keep in mind, this kind of wireframe when you're working with animals, especially on location. It'll help guide you again to those action lines. The next part, and a pretty important part, is just the basic of the skeleton and where the bones lie on the skeleton. And you can see there where that bridge is holding that nice rib cage, the spine area. Alright, and go here to the dog and the cat. The cat I drew at a 3/4 view. I thought it would be kind of helpful so you can see what's going on behind it, what the other legs are doing. With that, we'll go into some basic names. Just again, take your time with it. Anatomy doesn't have to come, you know, tomorrow. It comes over time, and you'll be able to impress your friends over time with that. I'll begin with the horse and kind of jump back and forth between the horse and the canine, but you can see how the colors are in coordination to each other. Just study from these, take your time with it. You start out with the skull, very, very hard landmark, very triangular shaped, especially with the cow and the horse. And you can see kind of this triangular, very smooth shape up at the top, and kind of this egg shape more so for the lion. In the skull, you have areas of the nasal, kind of just the nose bone, a much longer area here on the horse, of course, than us. Frontal bone, zygomatic arc. The two beginning cervical vertebrae, I'll go over that later, but first the masseteric ridge and the mandible. These are kind of names to keep in mind, especially this area, the zygomatic arc and the masseteric ridge. Mandible can be interchangeable with jaw. So that's the skull. Here with the cervical vertebrae. All mammals have 7 cervical vertebrae. It might be important, but a lot of the times we just draw a tube coming down. The first 2 cervical vertebrae are important because of the movement they help create or help allow. You have the atlas and the axis, and those create a nice angle that shoots down straight from the skull down to the back, especially here on that horse. Okay? The next section is the thoracic dorsal vertebrae. You can remember dorsal by the dorsal fin, say on a shark. Okay? Now that back fin, or a whale as well. That's supposed to be steam, but it failed. The next section, well, first the dorsal thoracic vertebrae, as you can see, are connected to the ribs. There's limited movement in that area. The next section here, the lumbar, quite short on a horse and also a cow. And if you look here, jumping to the lion and the dog, the lumbar are much longer. The reason being is because these guys need to have that movement in that area, and it creates kind of a very springy feel in that area as well. So a lot more movement for these predatory animals in that area of the spine. The next section is the sacrum, kind of that hard bone on our backside, and then the tailbone, the coccygeal. The sacrum is much shorter in the dog and the cat, and they're fused bones near the pelvis area. The next section is the scapula, and you can see here you have this kind of line going down the middle, and I'll get into this later again, is the spine of the scapula. Moving down into the humerus, kind of the forearm here, radius ulna, and this is fused on a horse and a cow. You can say also on a deer, any of the bovid kind of family members as well. Carpus, metacarpus, and phalanges. Jumping to the dog and the cat, scapula, humerus, radius ulna are not fused, especially here on the cat. The cat needs that movement to grab and also to pull down. They can also lift their hand up and lick the backside. Carpus, and you see the metacarpals here, not as long, and they of course have the phalanges, the toes. These guys walk on their knuckles, on the metacarpals, excuse me. You can see that. And these guys walk on their toes. Area here, pelvis. Again, remember that nice angle that shoots across the pelvis on each of these animals. Very different from the horse and the cow. The femur, there's a big old bone there. The patella, the kneecap. And this area is quite special, and I'll be discussing it later down the road. tibia, fibula, tarsus, here, pretty much the ankle area, metatarsus, and then the phalanges again, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. These guys have 2 toes though. And going down here, seeing the pelvis of the dog, again, look at the angle compared to angle moving down almost into the body compared to the horse and the cow. The femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tib, fib, right here, tib in the front, fib in the back, tarsus, metatarsus, and then the phalanges. You can kind of see how it differs from each of these animals. So take your time with this, start familiarizing yourself with the names, and have fun with it as well. It's kind of fun to nerd out on bones. With that information, just basics of the skeleton, we can then move on to what are called the bony landmarks.